Talking with people with music in their genes, their blood, and in their soul. You are watching Musical Interlude. Hello and welcome to Musical Interlude. I am your host, Casey Bell, and today's guest is Daria from Pennsylvania. Let's get this show started.
First question that I have for you is, when did you first acknowledge or notice you had music talent?
Well, I think it was more like I escaped to music. You know, I grew up in a real difficult household. My parents were kind of raised in extreme poverty. Grandfather was a coal miner, and I don't think they really knew how to parent well. So they would have done better if they could, you know, like we can say about people. But for me, you know, being able to listen to people that would sing about good things in life or about people getting along, about improving the world. You know, I was a little kid during the Vietnam War and it repulsed me. You know, even as a kid that you just basically read, I would look at the pictures and go, oh my God, this should happen. And no one around me acknowledged it until I found music. And in music, there was a voice that said, no, you know, we can work for peace. We can work for basic rights. We can hope for a better world. That was the only place I found it. So that was where I found my home. And, you know, when you're little, you're not really great at music. You know, everything sounds like your hero. And you look back at those first songs and you cringe, but you got to start. You start somewhere, then you get better, and then you get a little better, and then someone gives you some feedback or some help, and, you know, you just keep taking those steps. You know, you can't make that leap 1,000 steps. You take it one by one. And I guess that's how I found music as a voice.
I like that story, especially the fact that you've acknowledged that if your parents knew better, they would have done better instead of being bitter about how they raised you.
I spent a little time being bitter, and I think sometimes being honest is good. But then, you know, you look at yourself and say, what am I going to do with this? I'm going to do something better. And I think that's also something that happens in my songs. I'll start with like anger, you know, and I'll just let it all out on the page or on the computer. And then I ask myself, is this what I really want to say about this? Like I wrote a song about child labor, which happened in my grandparents' town, but now you don't see so much. But abroad, you see it all the time. And the first thing was really angry and, you know, kind of nasty and whatever, but I let that out, and then you try to craft it. I also especially wanted to reach people that didn't know or didn't care. You know, what can I say to make you care that you don't buy stuff that isn't fair trade? How can I tell you about, you know, these women's lives or these children's lives? How can I tell you so that you make a choice so that we can all, you know, make a better choice? There's a line in this song is like, you know, we can shut this thing. If we all make better choices, we can shut these things down for good. You know, if people stop buying stuff made in sweatshops, you know, then they would choose to treat people fairly. So sometimes we start with real feelings, but I guess as you get older, you just ask yourself, is someone's giving me 3 minutes of their time to listen to a song? What do I really want to say to them? Not just bleh.
Right. So what was the encouragement, or who encouraged you to be into music? Because so many people have aspirations and dreams, and unfortunately things happen, or things don't go the way they planned and they quit, they don't endure. So what caused you to say, I actually can do this in spite of whatever?
Well, I think I had a difficult upbringing, but there were some shining stars. There was a music teacher that would always tell me you can do it. There was librarians that would, you know, that would remember your name, you know, and that, again, that didn't happen in my household. You were shut up, sit down, and don't make a problem. In the library, it was, hi, you're back. Did you like the book? You know, and they genuinely cared. So not only did they keep me going in music, they kept me going as a person. If they took the time to say, you're worthy of me remembering your name, you're worthy of me remembering what you like or don't like, that told me I could feel worthy of it. And I often think teachers, you know, mentors and things, they think they're doing nothing. You know, they think they're just giving some positive feedback. But the truth is, sometimes they're the difference between whether someone goes on or whether someone even has enough to continue in their life. You know, when they say you can do this or you're worth it, it makes the pain manageable. It makes the fear and anxiety manageable, so you can move on and turn that into something amazing. You know, turn it into something good and useful instead of just something scary and awful and not great.
That is awesome, especially the part about the librarian remembering her name and how much that affected you.
It means a lot, and I do a lot of shows for kids, and I always, you know, how special it is, your name, you know, how special, you know, the things you liked, if you know, remembering it takes so little, and yet it means so much.
Right. So what were the steps, or also how did you know how to get into the business, as far as what was the first thing you did to start recording, to start producing, to start marketing, things of that nature? How did you know what to do? How did you start? What was your beginning?
Well, I think it really helped. When I was a kid, I met someone that was in a folk song society, and this is the 60s, so this was the days of hoot nannies and all these things, so it wasn't hard. There was a neighbor and knew I played guitar, said, do you want to come? So the adults there encouraged me, and then they encouraged me to play out. They would have they would have a circle, and no matter how good or how bad you were, you got your circle time, and people were really great. You know, you might have just been singing You Are My Sunshine, but everybody said that you played that real well, or I liked how you sang it. So it gave me the idea that I could play, you know, not like the people I found on records, but I could get out there and sing my song. And a lot of people wrote their own songs, or there was a lot of discussion there, and they treated me, although I was a teenager, like I was a person. You know, like if I wrote a song, they would ask for me to sing it. And again, you know, it was great to have a supportive place to kind of try and fail or try and succeed, because, you know, it was just a good place to start. And when I started to figure out what I wanted to do, everyone I knew was out playing festivals. So that was what I did. I went from festival to festival, very small gigs. I spent some time in West Virginia with this wonderful poet named Don West and his daughter Hetty West, that was a banjo player. And they introduced me to a lot of their local musicians and how amazing their songs were. And I got the sense I could also, you know, collect music, as long as I was respectful for, I learned this song from so-and-so, and this is what he told me about it. And I eventually ended up with a lot more people that were, you know, kind of folklorists. So, you know, years into my career, I went back to school for ethnomusicology. I wanted to say that music is important, but it's important culturally. So how does music play a part, not just in entertainment, but in our lives? And I think that I had no plan as how to go forward. I just knew I wanted music in my life. And if you opened a door, I would walk through it. Yeah. Most of them were great, but some you backed out and you say, I don't want to do that, but I'm going to go on to this.
That's great. I like the fact, thankfully, you had so much encouragement from people surrounding you. What would you say to someone who unfortunately is not being encouraged to follow their passions or their dreams? How would you encourage them to keep going?
Well, I think I also had a lot of horrible discouragement too, but it's all focus. It's all focus. You know, if somebody tells you your music is awful because they like a different kind of music, you just have to consider the source. And you know what is good. There's something that resonates in your heart when you get a song right or a performance right. When you look at someone's face and they're like, they get it, or they're receiving it, you know, you just know it. And sometimes you just have to use your own self as a meter, or trusted people who you know will encourage you but won't kind of coddle you, you know. And if you're getting discouraging things, find someone you admire who's worthy of your admiration and learn from them. You know, and sometimes it's a little hard finding the right person, or finding people and then they've got a huge ego and they really don't care about you. But just keep going and focus on, you know, I love this little story Mr. Rogers used to tell. He said if his mom told him if there was ever a problem, look for the helpers. If you're ever worried, if there's an emergency, look for the people that are helping. And I think it works in the music business too. Don't look for the big egos, the splashy this, if you're going to be I'm going to tell you what, because you're going to meet them all. I'll do this for you and you're not worthy of it, but blah, 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 blah. Out the door. Find the helpers. Find the people that genuinely see you. And, and go with it. Learn from it. Just keep learning.
And with that said, also, what kind words of wisdom would you give someone who is not being an encourager to their children, or to someone who is following a pathway and they're not allowing them to do so, or they're telling them, don't do that, go do such and such instead? And so to the people who are not being encouragement to someone who needs their encouragement, what would you tell them?
Well, it is kind of hard because we live in a world where everyone wants to give instant advice, and sometimes people don't understand how hurtful their advice can be. But I just, in a certain way, I actually pray for them, that they can, their eyes can be open to see that their son or daughter not only wants to do this, but who they are, how to be tolerant, how to understand. I had a young friend who was amazing, and my parents were strongly religious, but hers handed her a book. Her family was Jewish, handed her a book at 16 of world religions. And you know what they said? We're Jewish. We love being Jewish, but we want to show you that there's a world of religions out there. We'd like you to, but here's everything. Make the right choice. So I hope these people find, even if their own parents aren't saying that, that they will find someone that will say, you know what, you are very talented at songwriting. You've got a great voice. You're perfect at this. That if you're meant to do something, that, the door will open, the window will open. And just, I guess the biggest thing is to just stay focused on the good, because that'll get us to the next step. If you stay focused on the bad, we're all in a worse shape. We just have to be that person we were meant to be, no matter how hard and how dark it can seem at times.
Yes. Now back to you. So,
could I stop you for 1 second?
Sure, go ahead.
I had an awesome, I call her a mentor. Her name was Ardith Rodale from Rodale Inc. They're the big organic gardening thing that shifted the country's view. But she was president of the company, but you know what she called herself? CEO, Chief Encouragement Officer. Oh. And she felt her job wasn't to muster the troops and make sure they're productive. She believed in the people she worked for or that worked for her, and she felt her job in life was to be the chief encourager. And no matter whether you're the mentor or the mentee, it's always good to keep an eye on are you an encourager? Do you help people? Do you make them stronger? Because anyone in the world can walk up and say something bad or wrong or not like what you do. But it takes a big human being to find the joy and to pat someone on the back and compliment them, help them move to that next step rather than stay still or go backward.
I really like that. If I ever become a CEO, I'm going to borrow that. I hope she doesn't mind.
I know, isn't that's a much better title?
Yes, Chief Encouraging Officer. So, all right, so back to you. So there are probably thousands, maybe millions of schools and academies and classes you can take to teach you how to sing properly, to stand in the right position, how to exercise your vocals, how to play this instrument, how to play that instrument, how to read the music, how to write the music, compose the music. There aren't that many that actually teach you the business side of music business. And so what are some of the things you've learned that you wish someone would have taught you before you got into the music business?
Wow. It's a new world now. When I was recording first, we had reel-to-reel tape machines and edits were done with a razor blade. And now it is a much more open world. When I began, you had to be with a record company. There was no hope of being indie. Now we're all indie. So I guess it's just keep your ears open and see what works. Find your people, find your tribe, find your community, and do right by them. Put things out, give things away for free, be willing to do benefits that are important. Just keep getting better. And I truly believe you put that intention out, and, but if you build it, they will come. If you put that intention out, then the opportunities come, or people come, or you meet someone that they could do a little demo, and from the demo you can take that to the next level with someone else. But I would say also just start and keep going. And listen to the feedback. Well, that was great, but it doesn't sound wonderful. Okay, now I need feedback on how to make my recording sound better. Just start somewhere. Don't feel discouraged if one part of it is not right, and keep going. Just keep knowing that you have something special inside that will come out through your music. And you're smart enough to figure it out, how to get to the next step to be there. We're always an artwork in progress, right?
Right. What advice would you give someone in the business, music business, entertainment business, dealing with fear? Because so many times they don't move forward. Maybe they think they're not good enough, or maybe they're afraid of making a mistake. What advice would you give, or what experience can you share that you use to overcome fear?
I would say find the encouragers, find, even if it's just a close group of people, you say, I'm working on these 6 songs. Can you give me genuine feedback? Because if you get feedback, it'll be good feedback. Just find a way to create a supportive environment for you. Take risks while the situation isn't risky, and that builds your, that kind of builds your muscle of getting out there. And, like, you don't want to, if you decided today you're going to run a 10-mile marathon, that might not be wise. But if you decide today you're going to run around the block, and after you get really good at that, you're going to run maybe a mile, or, they don't never tell you how much work is done in building your career, and I think it's so important. There's so much emphasis on kind of fame and this, as if somebody was born at the pinnacle of their artistry, or born at the moment when everyone's piling cash on them to do big videos and big this, and you see that. But I have really good friends that are pretty amazing pop sensation, and their joke is, yeah, we were the overnight sensation that took 20 years to get there. And that's the truth, because the Hooters played for years before they became that big success that happened overnight. So you often think that, all our careers are a little different, but if you keep going, you will be satisfied. Keep finding the people that you sing for that truly get you. You can find them on social media. You can find them, in groups like, for me, folk music, or I speak Spanish and Quechua, so I find people within my language group, find them, and then make yourself that community, and it'll be the place that kind of holds you up while you decide what the next step is. And if possible, give back. There's nothing that's a substitute for lovingly giving back to your community, whether it's playing for people for free, or teaching, or doing a free video, doing a video for a special needs child, saying, I know you're listening, Derek, and I did one I played for special needs adults, and they're the sweetest human beings you ever met. Favorite song being You're My Sunshine. So I made like 10 videos, each one introducing it to each person so I could send it to them. That's how you become a real superstar. Become a superstar in someone's eyes, not on, what I mean.
Yeah.
Hype is hype, and real human connection is just worth so much more.
Yes, it is. So let's talk about your latest CD album, Earth Day Around the World. What was your motivation behind creating an album about Earth Day?
Mm-hmm. Well, years ago, I wrote the Earth Day song. It's kind of the official song, but it's, and it's been used and sung by choruses and stuff. Very simple. one nice comment about my writing is that I've written anthems, and I think it's really sweet when people say that, you know, I wrote the MLK Day song, I Have a Dream, and they said they thought it was a classroom anthem, you know, for following Martin Luther King's principles. And the Earth Day thing was like that too, so simple. Instead of saying he's got the whole world in his hands, a group of teachers said, I want our kids to sing tomorrow, write them a song. Well, there's a tall order, right? If you write them a song with the melody they don't know, no one will sing it. And this was second and third graders. So I kind of grabbed, he's got the whole world in our hands. I asked them what they thought they could do to make the earth better. And the song became the things they thought about. You know, we can reduce, recycle all that we can. They talked about cleaning up parks. They talked about the obvious. And then they talked about the not so obvious, being kind to people, never bullying, working together to get a goal done. And this was, you know, working with kids always amazes me because they're light years ahead of where you think they may be. So I made sure I put those kind of unexpected things there. Join hands with your sisters and brothers. Dream your bright dream, then do all you can. And those are all the lyrics in the Earth Day song. Again, very simple. You could sing it in an hour because you recognize the melody. So I gotten so much nice feedback. And this year I won a grant as an artist in social change. And I thought, well, you know, the grant pays my living expenses. So now I have time. And I talked to artists I'd worked with around the world, one from Taiwan, one from Kenya, who I've been working with, one from Portugal, but he's in reggae. And I got to learn that reggae is everywhere. You know, you think of reggae as a Caribbean thing. Oh my God, throughout Africa, the vocalist on this popped in from Ghana. Amazing, because reggae lives there. You know, it may have started in one place, but it lives everywhere. So I did a reggae version. I contacted this amazing lady in Belgium who is like a special needs singer. She has what is it? She has a diagnosis, but it doesn't affect anything. She's a brilliant songwriter. So she wrote one that we wrote together. We call it For Fairies and Elves, because she just has this magical place with her vocals. And it reminds me of, if you've ever seen the movie Frozen, in the beginning, they do something called cooling, which is from like the northern. So you vocalize very high. It was originally used to call cows home. And I have sheep, so I understand what it's like to just put a call out and they come back. So she vocalized around that, and we wrote lyrics together, and we wrote this kind of very sweet meditation trance song about loving the earth and why it's special, and you know how we become a part of it and listen to it. And so those were all the different inspirations. Is what if someone took that idea of we've got the whole world in our hands and they made it their own, you know, added their completely new sense of music, a friend of mine too, born in Israel, lives here. She did hers in Hebrew. And that was what I wanted, add your own language. But she couldn't make the lyrics fit, so she flipped it. And her verse is, or her song is, the world needs us so much, not we've got the whole world in our hands. Her version is, the world needs us so much. And then she goes through the choruses, it needs our hearts, it needs our good deeds, it needs us too. And I guess it was just so cool. You hand a project to someone and you say, hey, not micromanaging, you do it. And they bring you back this little gem that you could have never imagined, just completely theirs. So it was just a lot of fun. And my goal was to try to get some really diverse and wonderful sounds. And to me, that's what the album does. It goes all kinds of different places with that same theme.
I really like the sound of this project. I will definitely, for those who are watching, will leave all that information in the description section where you can download the CD and hear, get some samples as well, videos. And so my last question I have for you on today is there a artist from your time of doing all this that has inspired you so much so that maybe you would like to meet them or even collaborate with them, that someone you haven't collaborated with that's a great inspiration to you and the work that you do?
Mm-hmm. Wow, there are so many, because we stand on the backs of the people who come before us. So there's so many. But I took the time about a year ago to reach out to someone who'd been a childhood hero. His name is Cy Khan, and he a combination of labor songwriter, but he wrote about the places where my grandparents came from with such authenticity. And we connected so much. We started to write songs together, and we're going to do an album next year together. It's called When Women Stand, When Women Rise. And it's, about women all over the world that have had the courage to stand up under extremely difficult situations and be that game changer, it's hard, it's tough, and they deserve all the credit. The people deserve to know their stories. People deserve to know that sometimes you're only 14 when you decided you needed to stand up, and yet they did. There is nothing that can keep us from making the world be more like we know it can be in our hearts. So that's kind of what I saw in Cy's work, who just turned 79, and he has not stopped writing, and he's not stopped ever being an encourager. Making me feel like, no one's listening, the opposite, feeling like we're doing this. We're gonna write this song together. We're gonna reach out with it, and it helps. It's kind of a long road to walk. It's nice to walk with someone there by your side, laughing and smiling and saying, "Yep, we're gonna get there."
Throughout her way, she gives us all we need and light up the way. We've got the magic of the earth in our hands. We've got the magic of the whole earth in our hands. We've got the magic of the whole earth in our hands, of the trees and the plants. In our hands, we've got the whole earth in our hands.
Thank you for watching another episode of Musical Interlude. I want to thank our guest Daria for stopping on by and sharing her journey with us. And of course, you, the audience, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.